Big old Raptor right in here. We're gonna go up, take a look, see what we got. We'll go up these nice set of stairs. All right, let's see what we got on this Raptor right here. Caulking that's breaching there. You can see this is loose. Eventually that'll compromise this. You can see some people call that spidering. I call it eggshelling. If you look at it, it looks like a hard-boiled egg when you go to crack it. That's usually indicative that the roof has reached its lifespan. All the mounds of caulking they put on these things. Barely any room underneath that AC. Obviously we'll lift that up. Look at all the caulking here. This would turn into a moat. Water gets stuck right in there and it'll have to evaporate out. That's what they want you to do, just keep mounting it, mounting it. The other problem with having water build up like that is water will turn into a magnifying glass and it will amplify the problem if it's just ponding water. There, we got a crack right there. I don't see anything too unusual that we've seen on some of the other ones. Roof deck feels pretty good. You see all that little, like I said, I call it eggshelling. See what we got underneath here. Got a little bit. We're tearing the roof off now. That's all we're going to do right now is just get this roof off. This is what they use. This is what they use to protect the metal to the rubber. Because this is drywall tape. That's what it is. The drywall mesh. And that little bit right there, barely get my finger on to grab it, but that's what it is. That's all they use. That's not going to help anything. You got some rot somewhere? Where's that? You got some rot in the front? He thinks there's some rot in the front. There's a ladybug right there. Vicious ladybug.
My blade just disappeared.
Oh yeah, just sunk in there. Woo-wee.
Nothing on it.
Ah. Yep. Got some rot.
Oh, sorry.
Shelf to save the ladybug.
Save the ladybug.
Save the ladybug. Come here, ladybug. Yep. I'm gonna have to fix this. Let's see what we got when we rip this up.
Oh, here it is. Both corners?
I think this whole edge is. This is typical where they rot because the caulking will fail. It'll crack. And when it fails, water gets in there.
Oh, look at that.
So.
I didn't cut that.
Oh, you didn't make that cut?
I didn't make that cut.
Yeah, let's get the turn bar off. Yeah, it's all mush. Let's see what we got over here. Got some more mush right here. Yep. So obviously we'll take this off. Whatever we got for rot, obviously we'll fix. Look at this here. Hasn't popped through yet, but it probably wouldn't be too soon that it would. You see that fine crack right there. So we're going to tear it up and we're going to show you what we get up underneath this old Raptor. And this is our big old Freightliner we just finished up. Big old freight car right there. We just finished that today, rolled it out. Now all we're doing now, it's over that side because we're cleaning it down, getting all the dirt and dust out. We'll wash the windows, make it look nice and pretty, and they'll come back and get it. We also mounted those dishes right there, the satellites. We did that one, the one in the back, and you can't barely see it. Nope. But there's another one on the other side. All right, let's give you an update on this Raptor. This back end is rotted right here as well on the other side. And then we got the same problem with the front. But overall, the roof deck looks pretty sound. This is all they use to protect. That's just drywall tape. That's all it is. Get some of these sharp edges, like right here. That's the stuff that's going to pierce the roofing. You got a couple of staples there. This is the way they do everything. Look, this one's got a real sharp edge right on it. See if that'll focus in for you. Right here. It's real sharp. Then you get a breach in the roof, and that little leak can cause a lot of problems. Another one. Some of these staples are up a little high. Staples may not, on the rubber I don't like it, but the TPO it won't bother it, the commercial grade we use. Now this one was pinned down. You can see even here though, all they did was use that little staple. It's already popped up. You just saw me pull that staple out. But that sharp little edge can do that. So there's some of the rot we got here. And we got the same on the other side over there. So it looks like all four corners are rotted. We got to get all this booger off of here and get that turn bar loosened up so we can get another piece to slide up inside there. So then looks like we got a little bit of damage right here around the vent right here. So we'll get that up too and fix this piece. So we only got a couple little crumbs to fix, and that's what we're working on right now. Take that antenna off. Not a fan of those antennas. Usually right where that line is that comes down that wire, where it goes in that boot right there, that is usually a leak. And it'll get down inside that boot on the inner side and it'll leak right into the coach. But also when the antenna is standing up, slightest breeze is going to cause it to rack. And when it does, it'll leak around the base. That one seems to have held up well. Typically they don't. But since I can't guarantee that they won't, we really encourage to get rid of them. There's a shaft that goes down through the ceiling, and then the crank is on there. That crank only gets on there, that little crank handle only gets on there maybe about 3/8 of an inch. It's really narrow and shallow. So if we were to raise that up, put it up on a curb like it should be off the roof line, then the shaft would be back up into the ceiling in the attic area, if you will, on this. You wouldn't be able to get the handle back on. And you'd have to take it all apart, take the whole thing apart to try to put a new shaft in there, and it's just a pain in the tail. And considering what they are, they're really not worth it. You put a nice wine guard razor or a King or something else, a stationary one, then you can just program it, and you hit the, once you hit the button, it turns on, it'll spin, it'll load all the channels for you. It's a much better system. So that's what we're working on right now. Raptor update. We're just making sure this is nice and dry. Got a little moisture there. So, and the other thing that we had, we just took the shoulder off so we could get that board to get replaced. And we noticed way down the front here, the cap come all the way over. You can see the line. That's where the cap was. Had all this rod up underneath here. So in order for us to access and replace this, we had to take the shell off the front. A little more than what we expected. And the trusses, though, they look okay. They're just a little discolored, but they're not rotted. Here, they're solid. So this obviously needs to get replaced, at least up to here anyways, onto this other truss right there. And then we'll put the shell back on. Everything else seems pretty dry. All the insulation, everything else is all set. So we'll be back with more after these messages. What we're looking for in this big Raptor is we took these shoulders off. These metal shoulders right here, we took them off because we just want to see if there's any wires that run up like this to see if they're protected. These are just 12-volt wires here. Those are fine. We're looking for the main ones that come out for the air conditioner around that other side. There's an air conditioner. We just want to make sure that they're protected. We haven't seen any all through here. So went over this other side. We just want to make sure that there's something we can do. Yeah, those are just 12 volt. We took all this, loosened it all up, and looked underneath all of it just to see. Sometimes if you watch some of my other videos, you'll see wires that come up. You see that wire right there? It's got to go somewhere. And we just want to know wherever it goes, it's got to return back down into the wall. And a lot of times there's a ferrule in there. And those ferrules, there's nothing down in there. If you just loosen these up. A lot of times that ferrule isn't protected. And that's what we're trying to find out. And we're going to just look, and if not, we'll just put it back. I'd hate for someone to drive down the road and that thing's compromised, and then the wire disconnects and breaks, and then they think that it's something that we may have done. But even still, it's something, if we can prevent it, I'd hate to have a person go through that if it only take a few minutes for us to investigate it. So we got some, a little bit of rot we're probably going to take care of up in here. Seems pretty solid, actually. It looks more like just water stain, because you can hear how hard that is. So it's okay. It'll hold a screw and everything. So everything seems dry. Everything seems okay. Some of this is the interior panel that goes to the ceiling. So we really don't want to start messing with all that, because we could turn this into a bigger problem than it needs to be. We don't want to pinch into anybody's wallet unnecessarily. So there's nothing on this. This is the passenger side. Like I said, we already checked up underneath all of this. Those that's under there, we got, those are just little 12 volt wires. So those are okay. It's the bigger ones we're looking for. Well, when we find them, we'll let you know. If not, we'll just put it back and move on. Okay, so I wasn't satisfied with not knowing where those wires are, so we decided to pull this up. We saw the wires over there underneath. And then we noticed they came over this way and they're into here. But they don't have anything in there. Like, it's so far back, there's no bushing or anything that would compromise it. So I feel content with that. Same with this one on the edge. It's so far back, there's no concern of any wires. Typically they put them in a little metal ferrule in there, and then they don't protect the wire from the ferrule. But since this isn't, the purpose of that is so when you do put a screw through the termination bar in here, that you don't drive it through the wire. But this is so far back, it's not a concern. So we're just going to stitch this back together. But those are the lengths we go through to make sure this thing rolls out good with no worries. Okay, back at this Raptor, one of the things we noticed I didn't show you, so we got staples on this side, and then there were screws on the corner. But what they didn't do, there's no fasteners on this truss. Here's the end of the sheet, and here, and then here's the end of the sheet. So all they did on this was fasten it on this edge, fasten it on this edge. There's nothing in the center at all. So we're going to refasten this whole thing back down, make sure it stays tight. But that's all they do. So we'll get it right on the whole thing. We'll do the whole roof deck that way. Make sure it's all sitting and it's nice and tight for it to roll out.